So there is a mass consciousness that's going on right now. This is Mercedes Warwick, and welcome to the first thought of the day. I know that in the physical, in the human, there are some things that must be said in order for us to act and be safe in very real terms. And the way that this is coming forward through the media, through our human interactions and everything, the way it's coming forward can create this consciousness of fear, anger, resentment. I would actually say lack, and is very disempowering. So when we put it that way, those become frequencies that are available to us to choose not to be in those places. So while there's this realized energy actualized in life, that's keeping it real. We're in the midst of this pandemic, and the consciousness is we must be safe. I'm scared. I don't have enough. Power versus force, we can have a different state of mind and a different state of consciousness. And and what the teaching that flows through me, and that what I've learned, especially through a stage 4 cancer journey, is one, I have come into an understanding of death and what death means to me. I live until I live eternally, is what I say to myself. And then I've had a belief system since I was a little girl that, I don't die, transition until it's my time. And those two things have been the basis of my last 3 years, enabling me to stand in my spiritual conviction. And then the third piece of it has been I can have a different state of consciousness than the norm. So in the state of cancer, the system of cancer and the medical system, they have a way that it is going to go. And in the state of Mercedes and my state of being and my relationship with my source energy that is within me, and the source energy that I am, and that is the source I am, and the source that I am, that I present myself in this real dimension, I can have a different state of consciousness. This I know. So we can have a different state of consciousness, even though there is a system, a worldly condition that's saying let's be prudent. All right? The other thing that I will say is everything is available to us, can be provided to us. So I am not the sole source of my material needs. And Source has provided, we would say earth angels, but Source has provided people to me that has literally brought me the things that I need that I did not believe that I could obtain for myself. And it was very real at one point. It was groceries. And through these last 3 weeks, it was transportation to get the groceries. And people have shown up. They heard the calling. And I think that's the other thing. When we're in the subtle frequencies and we can stay in our spiritual center and keep our fortress, all of this physical, the fortress as we walk, fortified, then we resonate. There's a resonance that emits from us, and somebody will pick it up because they will be, I have a need and I have assistance, and those two things come together to provide. So the other thing that I would say is I had a friend, little side note joke. Got a friend who didn't get some toilet paper. He said, "Man, it was getting real tough over here." And his neighbor was one 18 rolls of toilet paper and brought them over and said, do you need toilet paper? You know, so it could be as mundane as that. But for me, it was transportation. At one point, I had the funds to buy groceries, but I didn't have a way to go get them, and didn't want to take all of the public transportation and everything, just because I'm in one of those categories that they're saying is compromised, that, you know, my immune system with the drugs and everything for the cancer. So let's sit with that. I do, but not in this format. Sit with that, because it's about emanating the frequency, absorbing, accepting, allowing the frequencies of source to come through. And what are those very core seed frequencies? Sit in love. Okay, in love. When I say it like that, sit in the frequency of love. Not being in love, not trying to come into a relationship. Just sit in the frequency of love. Sit in the frequency of wealth. Sit in the frequency of vitality. Sit in the frequency of life. Sit in the frequency of affluence, having things flow into your space. Sit in the frequency of probably the opposite of what you're feeling. So if you're feeling lack, sit in abundance. If you're feeling unloved, sit in love. If you're feeling uncertain, excuse me, feeling uncertain, sit in the frequency of safety, of God, of the shepherd. Sit in the frequency of the shepherd, you know, in Christianity. Sit in the frequency itself. Get a word that I call it the smallest common denominator, or the most sacred common denominator, or we can also say the sacred seed, and sit in that frequency. And that's just one way of moving out of the human consciousness, or the very material world consciousness, into a more spiritual consciousness, and then into a divine consciousness. And that's a whole lesson for another day. All right, thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Please hit the subscribe button and the little bell icon to get notified when I'm here. I'm just building this channel up finally after all of this time, and I'm very grateful. I'm very, very grateful. And I will tell you this. The reason why I'm able to do this now in this time is because I know this. I know having an invader in my body that is threatening to take me out physically. I know this. I know that I have stood my spiritual ground as authentically as I can, because my words, when they told me stage 4 cancer and I chose to live, because there was a choice involved, and I chose to live, I said these words: the only way out of this is God. All right? The only way out of this is God. I know this. All right? We don't have to stay in the consciousness. There is something very real happening. It's real. You know, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, let's be kumbaya, and, you know, it was their time to go, and all of this crap. Sorry for the word. but it's real, and we have to face it. But how do we travel through it? How do we stay spiritually fortified through it? Okay? And how do we not have to take what is being sort of force-fed to us and not have it permeate our spirit? Okay? Namaste. I love you. See you soon.